This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
But they called you bluff, and I can, you know I can, and I can, I hope I can change and get out from there, change and get out from
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know it. I know it. And we talk about it every Monday through Friday. It doesn't matter who the host is. I guess what we need to forget about is the corporate bullshit, but you kind of already know that. Anyway, so how are you? How was your weekend? I hope you had a grand time, a fantastic time. You know, the time of your life is really what it boils down. You know, it's something unbelievable, and in the end, it's right. I hope you had... Oh, okay, yeah. You get the point. I don't think I can do that on video. If you were hanging out on the audio side of the house, it was just you and I and no video, maybe we could get into all that stuff. Anyway, so let's talk. Let's talk a little bit. If you're lost in a romance in a wilderness of pain, today is Monday, October the 16th of 2023, day 289th of the year, and only 76 days left to go. I'm telling you that number is going to change so frequently that it's going to be over soon. You're going to be like, wow, where did all the time go? And if you're here in the U.S., well, time is about to screw you over anyways, with all the time change stuff that's on the verge of happening. We're still a little bit away. That's how it goes. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM and hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Radio Big.
Yeah, hanging out with Radio Big and doing all the stuff that we get to do over there on that side of the sequence. So don't worry, because we're going to make sure that we take care of you today, tomorrow, and whatsoever. So that's the great part about it. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a smidge of what the hell is going on. So with that, there's a lot of stuff that happened if you did not pay attention over the weekend, because there was quite a few thingos that did occur. So where do we start? I don't know, because there's so much to talk about. I guess let me tell you what we're about before we get too far away. We are a show that talks about safety and the news and safety. So you can come and hang out with us, and we'll go through that sequence. After that, we bring in some professional broadcasters to tell you what exactly is going on inside of the world, because I still can't figure it out. And then from there, we do some main story stuff. You can interact with the show. And if you want to do all of that sequencing, it's pretty simple. Go to callinradio.com. Callinradio.com is a website that will allow you to do video, audio, and text messaging, any kind of format to get into this little sequence of events, and we go from there. Yeah, we're terrible about answering most of the stuff unless it's some kind of a text message. Yeah, I know. I suck at it. But outside of that, we are available on the social platforms where people want to be socialites. So you have the opportunity of doing that as well. So there you go. Some options for you, some options for me. I've been talking about going back to how we had it before, that we had a phone line that dumped in here, but I wasn't in love with that because then I had to pay attention to what's going on the board and all this other fun stuff. And sometimes I feel like I'm lost in a sequence of events of doing something else. Yeah, I know. I said it out loud. So there you go. That's it. So why don't we start talking right away about what the hell was trending, because I think that that's going to be important for us to talk about.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so when I look at the trends of the ends, it goes something like this. Sam Bankman Fried, lawyers unveil another potential defense strategy, and Netflix business model takes an interesting pivot. So we'll talk about that. Madonna kicked off of her celebration tour, and PETA is mad off on the offset. We'll talk about that. And Pete Davidson returned to SNL, and Michael Caine says that he is retiring for real this time. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about some of the things that are going on inside of the world of news on SIFTA, because that is what we do. CallinRadio.com gets you into our system, like I said before, and we'll get everything moving and grooving for you. So with this being said, this morning I have Mark Mayfield waiting on the other side of the equation. Yes, waiting on the other side, because loving you has to take me to the other side. Don't we kind of already know this? Don't we know the sequence of events here? Should I change it for a moment? Yes, the sequence of events that loving you has to take me to the other side. Yes, the other side. So think about that as we are talking, moving and grooving and all that stuff. So with that being said, we will go and do this for the moment. We will get Mark Mayfield getting us all ready to go, because why wouldn't we do this? We're a news show, duh. Come on.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Israel Defense Forces say they have killed a top Hamas commander. According to an IDF news release, the commander was in charge of the deadly Kibbutz Nerim attack near the border. The IDF also said that Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorist operatives were killed. IDF strikes at more than 100 military targets, including operational command centers and military compounds, according to the release. President Biden says the reoccupation of Gaza by Israel would be a big mistake. In an interview that aired Sunday on 60 Minutes, Biden said he believes Hamas needs to be eliminated entirely, but there needs to be a path forward.
Yes, I do. But there needs to be a Palestinian Authority. There needs to be a path to a Palestinian state.
Biden is considering traveling to Israel on a solidarity visit after an invitation was made by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Senator Lindsey Graham warning Iran not to get involved in the war between Israel and Hamas.
Iran, if you escalate this war, we're coming for you.
Speaking on NBC's Meet the Press, the South Carolina Republican said he plans to introduce a Senate resolution that would allow the U.S. to deploy troops to join Israel to knock Iran out of the oil business. Graham also expressed concerns about Hezbollah involvement from Lebanon on Israel's northern border. He said that more than 90% of the funding for Hamas and Hezbollah comes from Iran. A vote for the new Speaker of the House is expected Tuesday at noon. House Democratic Whip Catherine Clark said the vote for Representative Jim Jordan will happen, but it's still unclear if Jordan will gather enough votes to secure the position. While the GOP holds a slight majority in the House, only 4 votes can be sacrificed to win, with some Republicans firmly against Jordan. A second vote took place after Jordan secured the nomination on Friday, with the total coming up well short of the 217 needed. And Mary Lou Retton's daughter says the Olympic legend is making remarkable progress. Retton has been hospitalized in intensive care, battling pneumonia for nearly a week. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Israeli troops are amassed on the border with Gaza ahead of the expected ground offensive. The UN Secretary-General says the Middle East is on the verge of the abyss. Japan's Prime Minister is facing pressure as his cabinet's approval rating drops to its lowest level during his term. And the Walt Disney Company is 100 years old, marking the launch by brothers Walt and Roy Disney on October the 16th, 1923.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
There are no current plans to deploy U.S. troops to help free American hostages in Gaza, but it's also not being ruled out.
We are actively trying to find out exactly where they are. We don't even know how many exactly.
Speaking on Fox News Sunday, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said the U.S. is still trying to determine where they're being held. Officials say 15 Americans are unaccounted for, but it's unclear how many are being held hostage. Kirby added that he and U.S. officials have to be careful what they say publicly about the situation, given its sensitivity. America's top diplomat is expected to return to Tel Aviv today to continue a whirlwind diplomatic mission. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made stops in Egypt and Jordan to urge Arab nations to work together and to keep the conflict from expanding. Speaking in Cairo, Blinken said he's making clear the U.S. stands with Israel for calling for additional aid to deal with the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats are willing to work with Republicans on a solution to the chaos surrounding the position of House Speaker. Trey Thomas reports.
Jeffrey said on NBC's Meet the Press that there have been informal conversations about a bipartisan governing coalition.
It's time to end the Republican Civil War so we can get back to doing the business of the American people.
He said the House needs to vote on bills that have substantial support from both sides of the aisle. I'm Trey Thomas.
Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in China this week. Moscow and Beijing say the visit is aimed at deepening the partnership between Washington's two biggest strategic competitors. Putin will attend China's Belt and Road Forum in Beijing on Tuesday and Wednesday. It will be his first trip out of Russia since the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for him in March over deporting Ukrainian children to Russia. And Taylor Swift is everywhere, on stage, at football games, and now on top of the weekend box office. Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, set an opening week record for a concert film with an estimated $97 million. Add that to the more than $2 billion that the tour itself brought in. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Well, Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things is mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so there you go. Anyways, currently 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Monday. Yeah, it's so lovely that it is a Monday that you and I get to hang out in, that I look at it and I go, boy, am I lost in a romance in a wilderness of pain as you and I get to hang out and do the stuff that we're doing. No doubt about that, buddy. So let's do this real quick and let's start talking about some stuff that's happening inside of the world. FTX lawyers for Sam Bankman-Fried on Thursday filed a written motion that previews where their defense could be headed, well beyond the expected theory that their client didn't think his misuse of customers' funds was criminal. In fact, it appears they're set to argue that FTX terms of service actually protect SBF from committed any kind of fraud, and that the term misappropriations is subject. Well, I guess it's subjective. The motion calls for the laypersons from testifying from the interpretation of what misappropriation of funds might mean, and allow the defense to bring their own expert witnesses to provide testimony that suggests that SBF was well within his rights to redirect customers' funds to be spent by Alameda Research. Judge Lewis Kaplan will likely rule on the motion at some point this week. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what will be going on. I mean, what else would you expect? Anyways, just a few years after Netflix innovative DVD by mail business model torpedoed the blockbuster franchise, the streamlined giant now plans to open a brick and mortar stores of its own. Yeah, take a listen to this. One company exec tells Bloomberg that its network of stores would be on the sell or rent out TV shows and movies, though instead the facilities would provide dining and live entertainment and retail services to guests, all branded and centered on TV shows and movies and Netflix is promoting. 2 locations are slated to be opened in 2025, but no cities have yet been identified. So let's talk about that, because you know that it's not going to be a brick and mortar store in the tradition, the way that you're thinking about it. It's going to be more of a entertainment venue. What else would make any kind of logical sense? You're not going to take out Blockbuster and then turn around and go, oh, let's make Blockbuster-esque. So, think about it of probably cross between a movie theater and a Spencer's. It's probably some kind of food crap, because it's just the way that it is. I don't know. Let's see. What's the date today? October the 16th, 2023. Let's see where we're at in 25 and what's been determined from that particular factor. That's just the way that it goes. Let's just not lie about it. So here you go. Let's talk. A meta-analysis of more than 280 foods studies suggests that the ultra-processed foods share the same addictive qualities as nicotine, cocaine, or heroin, and that 14% of Americans are junkies for the junk food. The researchers still aren't clear on why these foods are so addictive, but they have some guesses, namely the high combination of both fats and carbohydrates that aren't found in natural whole foods. Together, they trigger a dopamine rush that leads to steep drop off, much like a single ingredient in drugs. So what a deal, right? I can't understand why I'm so addicted to stuff, but this might be the true reason why I am.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, just to call him Wicked Witch of the Midwest, the 76-year-old Terry John Martin pleaded guilty to one count of major artwork theft for stealing the ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz from the Museum of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, not Michigan. During a court appearance on Friday, Martin admitted to swipe the slippers because he believed that the shoes were covered in real rubies. It wasn't until that he attempted to sell them to someone who hawked stolen goods that he learned that the rubies were just made of glass. All that to point out that it left him he left him in an undisclosed locations. The slippers were eventually recovered during an uncovering operation back in Minneapolis in 2018. They are now in the Smithsonian in D.C. as Martin, he faces, 10 years in prisons, no words on when he will be sentenced. This is according to The Insider. So, I mean, what do you think about this? You wanted Judy Garland shoes. I mean, at least tell me something better. Not that they're covered in rubies. Tell me something like, I thought that if I actually got the shoes and clicked them together, I was going to be taken to another place, because that would at least be a little bit more understanding to me.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Yeah, that's what happens from time to time as we do this stuff, because, that's what's going to occur. So we will see what happens. Fun stuff. So who knows? What else do we have going on? Let's take a look real quick at this. Business Week kicks off to full swing tomorrow. Take a listen to this from Scott Carr.
Tuesday will bring retail sales data and the Home Builder Confidence Index. The Fed's Beige Book comes out Wednesday, along with housing starts and building permits. Weekly jobless claims will be reported Thursday morning, followed by remarks from Fed Chair Jerome Powell at noon Eastern. Comments are expected Friday from Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester. I'm Scott Carr.
Okay, thank you, Scott Carr, for that one. As we are talking, what else do we have going on? A man dressed up as Pennywise from Stephen King, let's see, says that it has been terrorizing the small Scottish town of Skilmorley. In addition to dancing through the streets at night, as the clown also posts about his shenanigans on Facebook. The account is under the name Cole Demos. States that he was born in Hell, Michigan, attended Hellgate High School in Montana, and studied at clown school, and is now self-employed. Comments in his post, such as that one that says, "This clown doesn't want fame, glory, or gold. He just wants to play in this so-called sleepy town. So come and join us and learn about the fear of the Skilmore clown." And it has been mixed. "You need to grow up. It's pathetic," one commenter replied, while another wrote, "Pennywise with a Scottish accent is by far the funniest thing." Clowning around, many remember the 2016 when the creepy clown trend surfaced. Several reports that clowns showing up in public places, and even threats were made to several schools, forcing them to go into lockdown. This is all according to The Independent. So there you go. Some interesting stuff there for sure. Take a listen to this one if you don't mind. Actress Suzanne Summers has died. She passed away on Sunday at her home in Palm Springs after 50-year battle with breast cancers. Summer is best known for her role in Three's Company. She would have been 77 today. Yeah, 77 today. So there you go. Some interesting stuff going on there for sure. Let's continue talking a little bit about some other stuff, about what was going on inside of the box office. Over the weekend, Dumb Money made $920,000. The Equalizer 3 made $960,000. The Nun 2 at number 8 came in at $1.6 million. At number 7, The Blind with $2 million. At number 6, The Haunting in Venice with $2.1 million. At number 5, The Creator, $4.3 million. At number 4, Saw 10, $5.7 million. At number 3, Paw Patrol, the mighty movie, made $7 million. And number 2, The Exorcist Believer with $11 million and had the number 1 spot. Yep. Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, $96 million. Yep, $96 million coming in hot right there, for sure, no doubt about it. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring some Erin Royale inside of here and let her tell us about what the hell is going on with Money Matters.
The White House says getting Americans out of Gaza is President Biden's top priority.
He has sent hostage experts to coordinate and consult with the Israeli government on hostage recovery efforts. He's also made sure that our diplomats are in touch with third countries in the region.
Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the U.S. is currently unable to pinpoint the exact location where the Americans are. He added that the White House is aware that there are 15 Americans unaccounted for, but the exact number being held hostage is unknown. Sullivan also noted the U.S. has not been approached about a possible prisoner exchange and that it's not under active discussion. And President Biden says the reoccupation of Gaza by Israel would be a big mistake. In an interview that aired Sunday on 60 Minutes, Biden says he believes Hamas needs to be eliminated entirely, but there needs to be a Palestinian Authority. He went on to say during the interview he didn't think that the U.S. would be overwhelmed by supporting both Israel and Ukraine in each country's current conflicts. Biden is considering traveling to Israel on solidarity.
I have to tell you something. Let's just stop this. Yeah. That sounds like Today in Politics, not anything related to Money Matters. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I love me some Erin Royale, but that definitely does not sound like Erin. That is for sure. So let's just talk. We don't need to hear about politics. I get bored with that shit. Anyway, so take a listen to this directly from the numbers. The Dow was up 39 points to close at 33,670 on Friday. The S&P lost about 21 points to close at 4,327. And the NASDAQ was down about 166 points to close at 13,407. West Texas Intermediate closed at $87 on Friday, and Brent crude was at $90. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.60 on Sunday, and Bitcoin was trading around 27,150 on Sunday. There was more than 2,675 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, and more than 55 such cancellations. Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $69 million jackpot, or a $31.1 million cash payout. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $34 million, and will be, let's see, a $34 million jackpot, or a $15.4 million cash payout. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. No doubt about that. Let's continue talking about some other things. Take a listen to this. Let's see. In Savannah, Georgia, a man got a surprise of his life when he received a speeding ticket for more than $1 million. Take a listen.
Connor says he knew he was going to get a super speeder ticket, which in Georgia means an extra $200 is added to speeding tickets, but he did not know the amount would be as high as it was.
$1,480,032.51.
Connor Cato says that he got pulled over by a state trooper for going 90 in a 50 mile per hour zone in Savannah, and is expected to get a ticket with a hefty penalty, not one for $1.4 million citation. Cato says that he called about the amount and he was told that it was correct and that he'd either need to pay the ticket or go to court. Officials say that it's common practice to add an exorbitant number to ensure that the speeding driver comes to court, adding that it is not that Cato actually has to pay. NBC's Nicole reports that Cato won't actually have to pay that much money.
A representative tells us the balance reflected on the e-ticket is not the actual amount of the fine, it's a placeholder, because all super speeders are required to appear in court. That enforceable fine is set by the judge when the defendant appears in court, and the penalty can't be more than $1,000 plus state fees.
$1,000 plus state fees. Maybe they were making the arrangement in pennies or something.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, there you go. So a lot of fun stuff as we are hanging out and talking. I mean, I don't know if I got that kind of a thing, I wouldn't know what exactly to do. I mean, I would probably look at it and go, my life has just got more interesting. I'm not sure how I'm going to pay this. So take a listen to this. A landlord in Will County, which is in Illinois, is facing murder and hate crime charges after authorities say that he stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death and wounded his mother for being Muslim. The executive director of a Chicago Office of Council of Islamic American Relations said that the boy fell victim to hate connected to recent tensions between Israel and Hamas.
To what extent was this person radicalized and brainwashed by this lopsided, one-sided atmosphere that has fanned the flames of hatred against Muslims and Palestinians?
So there you go. WDs were called out on Saturday to the home with South Lincoln Highway in unincorporated Plainsville Township after a woman called 911 claiming that the landlord had attacked her with a knife. Deputies located Joseph Sherba sitting outside on the ground with a laceration to his forehead. Authorities then found Wade Alafomi and his mother with a stab wound inside of the home. Both were sent to the hospital where the boy died. Detectives determined that both the victims were targeted by Shuba and for being Muslim and the ongoing Middle East conflict involving Hamas and Israelis. I can't even speak. I mean, I am so confused by this. I mean, it's just one of those wonders of the world on what people think sometimes, but what am I to say? Take a listen to this coming out of Pueblo, Colorado. A train derailment near Pueblo on Sunday afternoon has in both directions shut down I-25. Mayor Brian Lyons with the Colorado State Patrol. How's he mayor? Or maybe it's major. Maybe I don't know how to read. Last night shouldn't be any impact on President Biden's visit to Pueblo despite quite a destructive scene. Take a listen.
We still expect President Biden to visit Pueblo tomorrow, so they will be working on that investigation, but all intents and purposes, we still intend that President Biden will visit Pueblo tomorrow.
Okay, the BNSF railway train carrying coal derailed on a bridge over I-25 mile marker 106 and 107 just before 3:30 p.m. At least one person is dead after the driver of a semi-truck was trapped under the bridge. According to the CSP, the bridge was unstable, which was hindering crews from accessing the drivers who died on the scene around 9 p.m. Major Lyons says that the crews could be working through the night in the days to come figure out what happened with a total of 12 cars being derailed both directions on I-25 and are remaining closed due to the train cars and the coal on the road, and the drivers are encouraged to avoid the area for an extended period of time. So there you go. So if you're there, you're definitely not going to want to go that direction. That is for sure. Anyways, let's see. 32 minutes past the top of the hour. I think it's that many thing that we have to do right now. So let's go ahead and get moving that direction.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, main story time. We get to hang out, we get to talk, we get to move, we get to groove, we get to do everything that we would normally do on a main story on a day such as today. No, seriously, that's what we're doing. And it's interesting to me. I keep on taking a look around the whole plethora of stuff that is happening, the whole plethora of things that are going on, the whole plethora on how the world evolves. And I'm still amazed to hear that people have an extreme hard time. Yes, an extreme, I'm going to go extreme, hard time. That there are different variations of safety out there. There are different variations on how people want to receive the information, and there are different variations on how things can be perceived. There is a pretty popular, we'll call it a pretty popular business that does podcasts and that posts stuff about safety. Not a problem. I mean, it's pretty popular. You can see it on LinkedIn quite frequently is probably the best way that I'll put it. And they've had guests from all kinds of different walks. They've had several guests that are hosts from our platform on Safety FM to go on to their stuff. And it's fine. Even people from the Hop Hub and stuff like that. And the funny part is that I get to listen to some of the interviews that these people do, and it's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. And the funny thing is, they want you to listen to their podcast. They also want you to buy their product because they're a product and a podcast network of crap that they do. I mean, and that's fine. And I shouldn't say crap they do, because there are some really good episodes inside of there. I'm not going to lie. But they normally post the clickbait stuff. And it's interesting when I take a listen to it, because I've listened to some of the hosts here. We had one of our hosts get on there and say that he does not understand why there is a big difference between what people think about behavior-based safety and HOP, because there's not really a difference, and that we shouldn't be hung up on names, which I thought was pretty interesting listening to this person talk about that. But a few weeks ago, and probably at this point, probably a few months ago, they had one where they had this professor come on, and the professor is talking, and he starts discussing that now out there is the shock jock safety people, that they want to say stuff for shock purposes alone and not do anything else, because there is no meat. There is no, there's nothing to learn, nothing to gain, and so on. And I thought it was kind of funny to hear that, because I listened to some of this stuff and I go, that's the problem right there. And why do I say that? Because I don't think that some of the people that are out there that are doing what we'll call shock safety, because that's what the fuck you're going to call it all of a sudden. I don't think that that's it. I think that they're talking as the common person does, and referencing the stuff that's going on out there in environments and happening inside of organizations. But there's that mental model that occurs that people want to lock other people out because it's not put into their lingo of the bingo on how pretty they want it to sound. So it becomes an interesting one, opposed to it being, hey, let's talk about it from all different formats. It comes across of, hey, this person's just trying to shock, opposed to giving you information. I think that we need to be open a little bit more as a community in regards on how we listen to what people have to say, opposed to it just being, oh yeah, it's whatever. It's an interesting one. Think about that for a moment, because if you were to open up your mind onto what other people had to say inside of your organization, maybe it would change the way that things happen inside of your organization. Think about that for just a moment. I know, hard one.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
What do guys like besides pizza and morning sex?
Jay Allen in the morning.
It's so bizarre and unnatural.
It's all good. On Radio Big.
Saviors, but they called you bluff, and I can, you know I can, and I can, I hope I can change and get out from there. Change and get out from there. If it runs, then run, and I will stay. Callous stars arrive and take up space, and I can, you know I can, and I can, I hope I can change and get out from there.
Okay, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show, hour number 1 of the Jay Allen of the Morning Show. No doubt about that. This right here, this is Change by Wax Owls. So yeah, good stuff hanging out, doing our thing. Hour number 1, Jay Allen of the Morning Show. Rated R Safety Show to most of the planet. On Safety FM and Radio Big. Glad that we're hanging out this morning doing our thing. You know, we always get to talk about some stuff and do some things. No doubt about that. So there you go. So let's take a look around at some of the stuff that is going on inside of the world, because we always have to do that. By the way, thanks to Wax Owl for allowing us to play Change this morning, because it's always important when we get to play newer music or different music, because we play all kinds of music. But before we get too far away, let's talk about the most important thing that I'm going to tell you about. And that's about my friend at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to twloha.com. That's twloha.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. Find help. Once you actually do that, it's going to be all kinds of info there. all kinds of info, anything related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support resources. Just to name a few. There's all kinds of other stuff as well, but that's just naming a few things that are on there and moving forward. So, TWLOHA.com. TWLOHA.com. That will get everything moving and grooving for you. So, there you go. Right Love on Her Arms. I'm going to tell you, go there, find out some of the information. Might not be for you, but you could actually assist someone else as needed. No doubt about that. Let's get into some other news as things are going on inside of the world here. Let's shoot the bull real quick. But if you're the type that can't put down the bag of potato chips until it's gone, you're not alone. And not only that, science is telling us that there's a problem isn't you, and it's the junk food. In fact, a series of studies from the University of Michigan professors of the ultra-processed food at UPFs are just as addictive as nicotine, cocaine, and heroin. I want to make sure that I reference this because I think the story is so important. And more than 1 in 10 of us are hooked. Professor Ashley Geghart, who created the Yale Food Addiction Scale by applying the same criteria that experts to diagnose substance addiction, says that the analysis of 281 studies across 36 countries found that the staggering number of 14% adults are hooked on UPFs. Examples of ultra-processed foods include sausage, ice cream, soft drinks, sugary cereals. Even worse, eating these foods can be linked to cognitive decline, cancer, psychological distress, and even early death. Why do we become so addicted to junk food? Eating ultra-processed foods triggers a rush of dopamine, followed by a sudden drop-off, resulting in an endless cycle of craving, getting a fix, crashing, similar to someone who is addicted to alcohol or drugs. Makes sense? I think it makes sense. I like to request the exception for the sausage on a compassionate grounds. I mean, I'm just saying. And you realize that you're done by telling me this, and makes me want to have some donuts. I mean, I am just saying some stuff to think about. What else am I going to say? It's kind of a hard one.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. Some stuff going on right there as we are talking. Always a fun timer as things are going on. Things are going on. So let's talk a little bit more about some other stuff that is going on inside of the world, because it's always time to do that. Anyways, Republican State Attorney General Jeff Landry will be the next governor of Louisiana. Take a listen to this.
Landry had over 51% of the vote as of Saturday evening, far above the other 15 candidates on the ballot. He was supported by former President Donald Trump and will succeed term-limited Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards, who won the state in 2015 and 2019. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for that one. I guess let's talk a little bit more about some stuff going on with politics. House Minority Leader says that Democrats are willing to work with Republicans on a solution to the chaos surrounding the position of a House Speaker. Take a listen to what Trey Thomas has to say.
Jeffrey said on NBC's Meet the Press that there have been informal conversations about a bipartisan governing coalition.
It's time to end the Republican Civil War so we can get back to doing the business of the American people.
He said the House needs to vote on bills that have substantial support from both sides of the aisle. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey, for that information right there on what exactly is going on, because, hey, we're going to want to know all this fun stuff. No doubt about that as we are speaking. Take a listen to this one. This one's coming out of Florida. One university president says that it shouldn't be hard to protect Jewish students and protect free speech.
You got so many universities around the country, somehow at a moment of the most grave, grotesque attacks on Jewish people since the Holocaust, they all of a sudden say there's too much complexity to say anything.
Speaking on Fox News Sunday, University of Florida President Ban Sassy says that the statement he sent to the Jewish alums condemning Hamas and last weekend's attack on Israel. Sassy, who has previously served in the U.S. Senator from Nebraska, didn't mention any specific schools, but did criticize university leaders in general who haven't spoken out more strongly against Hamas. 2 days after Sassi released his statement, a pro-Palestinian Day of Resistance event was held at the University of Florida campus. University of Florida campus also defended the statement that he sent out to the Jewish alums condemning Hamas last weekend on the attacks of Israel.
We just did two basic things. We announced that we're going to protect our Jewish students and we're going to protect speech.
So there you go. Some stuff going on right there. No doubt about it. Let's keep it in Florida for a moment. GOP presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis says that Hamas and not Israel is to blame for any Palestinian civilian casualties.
Israel has put out warnings to civilians about where Israel is going to conduct operations and has told civilians there to leave the area.
Speaking on CBS Face the Nation, the Florida governor said that Hamas targets Israeli civilians and their attack and uses its own civilians as human shields. DeSantis also defended Israel's decision to cut off water, food, and electricity in Gaza. He said that Hamas needs to release all hostages before the discussions are had. And also DeSantis says that Hamas targets their civilians. Take a listen to how he broke it down.
Hamas is telling those civilians to stay in the area. So they're using the civilians as human shields. I don't think they're under an obligation to be providing water and these utilities while those hostages are being held.
So there you go. That's what he had to say. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. There is a lot of stuff related to, I'm going to tell you a lot of stuff this morning related to politics. Let's jump around into some other stuff. The FBI says that domestic threats have increased nationwide since the Middle East attacks began. Phil Farrar has the deets.
Christopher Wray, who heads up the Federal Bureau of Investigation in San Diego, speaking at the annual International Association of Police Chiefs Conference.
In this heightened environment, there's no question we're seeing an increase in reported threats, and we've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own.
Wray says the FBI has not directly responded to any specific accountable threats and encourages you to be vigilant. I'm Phil Farrar.
So there you go, some stuff to think about for sure. Let's think about some more positive side of the world, because who doesn't want to do that? Let's go ahead and bring in some John Smalls with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by RC. Will Rogers said, "Everything is changing. People are taking the comedians seriously and the politicians as a joke." I love that quote. I want to make sure you understand something. Will Rogers died in 1935, so this quote is around 100 years old, and it's gotten more accurate along the way. There was a great movie from 2006. Robin Williams portrayed a late-night TV show host and comedian. He decided to run for president in the movie, which was very funny, and he actually won. But it was because of a voting machine error. Now, I steer clear of sharing political opinions on the radio, but that movie from 2006 was mentioned many times over the last few years. I'd rather remind you of the Will Rogers quote from 100 years ago. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
The FDA is warning consumers about the dangers of using ketamine for psychiatric disorders. Ketamine is not FDA approved for the treatment of any psychiatric disorder. The agency said using the drug could put patients at risk for misuse and abuse. More than a dozen Broward County, Florida Sheriff's Office employees are facing charges related to COVID-19 relief fraud. Sheriff Gregory Toney joined federal law enforcement officers as they gave an update on the case. The 17 suspects include sworn-in deputies and correctional officers. The U.S. Attorney's Office says they submitted fake applications in order to get a collective total of $500,000 from the government. 7 deputies made their first appearance in federal court in Fort Lauderdale last Thursday. Toney says everyone involved is in the process of being fired. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Oh, what an interesting, what an interesting time to talk about some health update stuff. What do you think here? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. So there you go. What is this? What is this? Did I miss this eclipse thing? A rare solar eclipse called the Ring of Fire happens this weekend. Yeah, I must have missed it. Doctors say that it's important to wear special viewing glasses. Yeah, I mean, why talk about something I already missed? I mean, I don't get it. What's the point? ¿Cuál es el punto? So let's talk about some other stuff real quick, because why wouldn't we do that? Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date as I take a look around. Yeah, let's do 2018. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle begin their first royal tour. The pair visited Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and the Kingdom of Tonga. They focus on youth leadership, environmental, and conservation efforts, as well as the recovery and rehabilitation of servicemen and women through the throughout the region. So there you go. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's talk about that. Naomi Osaka turns 26. Bryce Harper turns 31. Kenny Omega turns 40 today. Sue Bird, 43. John Mayer, 46. Davina McCall turns 56. And Flea, well, he turns 61 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you, and quite a few, that is. It's World Food Day, Global Cat Day, National Boss Day, Department Store Day, National Feral Cat Day, Steve Jobs Day, National Dictionary Day, National Clean Your Virtual Desktop Day, National Liqueur Day, World Spine Day, and National Chemistry Week. So, some stuff to do, some stuff to think about, some stuff to look at. So there you go. A lot of stuff. A lot of things to do if you're so inclined to do so. No doubt about that. What else? I think that's it. I think that's it on that side. Let's take a look around at some other stuff-o. If you need a matter of fact, let me give you some whack facts real quick. Bubble wrap was originally invented as wallpaper. The human eye can distinguish about 500 different shades of gray. About 1 in 2,000 babies are born with a tooth. The average beehive needs 40 to 70 pounds of honey to survive the winter. Earth gets 100 tons heavier every day due to falling meteor dust. Google Images was created as a response to the millions of searches resulting from Jennifer Lopez wearing her infamous dress in the Grammys in 2000. Yeah, think about that. Think about that for a moment. So, if you need a random joke for today, stupid minds think alike, too. No, seriously, that's what it says. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What was cool when you were young but isn't cool now? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this one. The average person spends about an hour and 12 minutes per week doing this. What is it? Laundry. I don't know how that is. I mean, how does your dryer work? My dryer's not that quick, that's for sure. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. Thanks for hanging out on this lovely Monday. I'll be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come over there and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so. We will doing the world of music and entertainment. If you hang out on Safety FM, you'll get to listen to Sheldon Primus and the world of safety consulting. So, of course, it's entirely up to you on what you want to do. So that's always the fun part. Anyways, thanks for hanging out and being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do what we are doing. That is for sure. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Fulfillment, though, fulfillment through will is not through wish. Fulfillment through will is not through wish. Think about that. That one's going to be important for you. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye, Zoe.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Make believe that this is not enough. the saviors, but they called your bluff.